Imagine a world where the lines between friend and boss blur into a terrifying nightmare. A world where "love you" texts hide a chilling truth and a simple conversation could decide your entire future. We've been peeling back the layers of the Diddy trial, revealing allegations of a life built on a foundation of power, control, and alleged abuse. But today, the courtroom heard testimony so raw, so deeply personal, that it offers an unprecedented look inside that inner circle. It's a story of survival, of a desperate dance between forced affection and genuine terror. This isn't just about celebrity gossip anymore. This is about the psychological chains that can bind someone to a powerful figure, even when their safety and well-being are allegedly on the line. We're talking about the shocking details from a woman who worked alongside Diddy for nearly a decade, seeing things no one else could, enduring experiences she's only now able to speak about. Her voice, sometimes a whisper, sometimes breaking with tears, painted a picture of a workplace where fear was a constant companion and the illusion of friendship was a desperate grab for safety. Today, the Diddy trial brought back Mia, the former assistant who has bravely chosen to testify under a pseudonym. The defense, trying to poke holes in her credibility, brought up a crucial point. Why would she send "love you" messages to Diddy even after alleging sexual assaults? Mia's answer was chillingly simple, yet profound. She explained that it was part of a desperate strategy. When the dynamic would shift to the best friend dynamic, you're just desperate to keep it there because you're safe. Think about that. The very words meant to express affection were, for her, a shield. A way to survive in an environment where her safety was allegedly tied to her ability to keep her powerful boss happy. This isn't just about a job, it's about a daily struggle for survival. The control, the manipulation, allegedly extended far beyond Mia's personal well-being. Mia testified about a trip to South Africa in October 2015, where she was with Cassie Ventura, who was shooting a movie. While there, a devastating discovery. Cassie found out Diddy was cheating on her after seeing a video of him with another woman. Mia described Cassie as devastated, refusing to take Diddy's calls. But this personal heartbreak quickly turned into a high-pressure situation for Mia. Diddy allegedly tried to get Mia, another employee, Christina Courtroom, and others, to force Cassie to take his calls. Mia found herself trapped, saying, "I was put in the middle." How does one navigate such a volatile situation, caught between the anger of a powerful boss and the heartbreak of a friend? The drama isn't just in the witness stand. From a jail cell, an unlikely voice has weighed in, imprisoned rap icon Suge Knight, a man who has had a decades-long, often hostile relationship with Diddy. Suge Knight shockingly proposed that his nemesis take the stand in his own federal trial. Why? To humanize him, he told CNN. But experts quickly shot down this idea. CNN legal analyst Joey Jackson warned that while it could humanize Diddy, it's a risky proposition because he would have a lot of explaining to do. Jackson highlights that while the testimony has been graphic, the jury needs to hear more for the racketeering charges to stick. If Diddy testifies, it just becomes about him, he explained, noting that the defense's strategy is to argue, "This guy's a horrible guy, but is he a racketeer?" Legal attorney Lisa Bonner was even more direct, calling it the most ridiculous thing that he can do. Why is taking the stand such a bad idea for a high-profile defendant, even when faced with such devastating allegations? And how desperate would things have to get for Diddy to even consider it? Mia's testimony returned to the terrifying methods of control. She recounted how, when Cassie stopped answering Diddy's calls in South Africa, Mia herself became the target. She received a barrage of threatening texts and calls for days from Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Courtroom, who was clearly under pressure from Combs. Mia eventually answered a call from Diddy where, she testified, he was irate, forgetting what he was talking about, slurring quite a bit, saying irrational things. What kind of irrational things? She confirmed he was threatening my job, threatened to kill me, lots of threats, telling me he was on the phone with HR even though I knew that wasn't true. Imagine the sheer terror of receiving such calls from a man you relied on for your livelihood, a man with immense power. But the threats allegedly escalated. The jury saw messages from Diddy to Mia from October 31st, 2015, while Mia was still in South Africa. In them, Combs wrote, "If you don't call me now, fuck it all. And I'ma tell everything, and don't ever speak me again. You have 2 minutes, fuck her. Call my house now or never speak to me again. Fuck ABC and all lawyers. Let's go to war." Mia testified that Diddy was threatening to tell Cassie about the sexual assaults, but with a horrifying twist, as though it was my fault or that I had a part in it. And the stakes? Mia had just sold the rights to a comedy show she had written to ABC, calling it "the most exciting thing that's ever happened in my life," and he's threatening to take that away. This wasn't just about a job anymore. It was about destroying her very future, her dreams, and twisting the truth of her alleged trauma against her. How does one survive such intense psychological warfare, and what lengths will someone go to protect their reputation, even if it means destroying another's life? We're about to dive deeper into the extraordinary web of alleged control and manipulation that Mia endured. Mia's return to the stand has pulled back another crucial curtain on the alleged realities of working for Sean Diddy Combs. Her testimony paints a vivid, often terrifying picture of a work environment where loyalty was allegedly demanded through fear and personal safety was a constant negotiation. We're still unraveling the layers of her testimony, from the threats that forced her to stay to the psychological toll that continues to impact her life today. What further details will emerge from her cross-examination, and how will the defense attempt to counter these deeply disturbing claims? The answers are critical, and they lie at the heart of this groundbreaking trial. Stay with us as we continue to break down every pivotal moment, right here on CE Trends. The Courtroom, a crucible where truth and defense clash, once again focused its gaze on Mia, the former assistant to Sean Diddy Combs. Testifying under a pseudonym to protect her identity, her return to the stand on this particular day was highly anticipated, marking the close of the third intense week of this federal criminal trial. The atmosphere was palpable as the jury, the key arbiters of Diddy's fate, re-entered the room, ready to absorb every detail. For those who have been following, the gravity of these proceedings cannot be overstated. Diddy stands accused of racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution, charges that carry the potential of a life sentence if he is convicted. The prosecution's case is built on a chilling narrative that Combs and certain individuals within his inner circle operated not merely as a music and entertainment business, but as a meticulously orchestrated criminal enterprise. They argue that Diddy wielded an arsenal of dark tactics, including threats, violence, drugs, bribery, arson, kidnapping, and deception, all to coerce his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura, into participating in what are described as freak-offs, and perhaps even more broadly, to meticulously safeguard the music mogul's public image and reputation at all costs. This is not a simple case of personal misbehavior, it's an alleged pattern of systemic control. The defense, however, is fighting back with a calculated strategy. They have openly acknowledged that Combs engaged in violence with romantic partners and that he maintained a bit of a different sex life. Yet they vehemently argue that these admitted actions, disturbing as they may be, do not escalate to the level of federal crimes for which he is being prosecuted. Their aim is to convince the jury that while Diddy's personal life may have been tumultuous, it doesn't cross the line into the serious criminal enterprise alleged by the government. It's a fine line to walk, and Mia's testimony is a direct challenge to their narrative. One of the most revealing moments of Mia's testimony came under questioning from Assistant U.S. Attorney Madison Smizer. The prosecutor pressed Mia on a seemingly innocent detail. Why would she, after allegedly being sexually assaulted by Combs, still send him text messages that said, "Love you?" It's a question many watching might ask, seeking to understand the psychological complexities of such relationships. Mia's response was a window into her alleged reality. Because it's just how we talk to each other. When the dynamic would shift to the best friend dynamic, you're just desperate to keep it there because you're safe, she testified. This statement is incredibly powerful. It speaks to a survival mechanism in what Mia described as a toxic and chaotic environment. Imagine living in constant fear, where moments of warmth or perceived friendship are not genuine connection, but a fragile truce. a desperate attempt to prevent the mood from shifting, to avoid anger, abuse, or threats. It suggests that these love you messages were less about affection and more about appeasement, a calculated move to maintain a facade of normalcy and, crucially, personal safety. For anyone who has ever felt trapped in a difficult professional or personal relationship, Mia's words about being desperate to keep it there likely resonate deeply. It paints a picture of a workplace where emotional manipulation was allegedly part of the daily routine. Mia's testimony then shifted to a pivotal incident in October 2015. Combs had directed Mia to go to South Africa with Cassie Ventura, who was there filming a movie. It was during this trip that Cassie discovered Combs was allegedly cheating on her. Mia testified that Cassie saw a video of Diddy with another woman, and she was, in Mia's words, devastated. Cassie immediately confronted Diddy on the phone, but at a certain point, the emotional toll was too much, and she stopped answering his calls. This personal crisis quickly transformed into a high-stakes emergency for Diddy and for Mia. Mia testified that Combs tried to leverage her, along with his chief of staff Christina Courtroom and others, to get Cassie back on the phone. "I was put in the middle," Mia stated, capturing the immense pressure she faced. "Can you imagine being trapped between your distraught friend and your powerful, allegedly volatile boss, who is demanding immediate access?" This incident highlights how Diddy's personal life allegedly bled into his professional demands, ensnaring his employees in deeply uncomfortable and ethically compromising situations. Amidst the harrowing personal accounts, the trial took a surprising turn when an unlikely voice weighed in from behind bars. Marion Suge Knight, the imprisoned rap icon who has had a famously tumultuous relationship with Diddy for decades, offered his 2 cents to CNN. In a brief phone interview, Knight suggested that his longtime nemesis, Sean Diddy Combs, should actually take the stand in his own federal trial to humanize himself. This proposal immediately sparked debate among legal experts. CNN legal analyst and criminal defense attorney Joey Jackson quickly cautioned against such a move. While it could theoretically humanize Diddy, Jackson stressed that it's a risky proposition, adding that Combs would have a lot of explaining to do. Jackson pointed out that while the testimony coming out of Combs's trial has been incredibly graphic and certainly paints a picture of his alleged behavior, the jury still needs to hear more direct evidence to fully support the complex racketeering charges he faces. "When you put a defendant on the stand, it just becomes about him," Jackson explained. "The defense could make an argument saying, 'This guy's a horrible guy, but is he a racketeer? Was he engaged in a continuous course of conduct that makes him a criminal of an underboss?' So that's going to be the problem, and that's why you may want to keep him off." Attorney and former litigator Lisa Bonner was even more blunt, declaring that Combs taking the stand is the most ridiculous thing that he can do. She told CNN, "It's just not a good idea. There's nothing good that can come of that," and warned that the cross-examination would be brutal. CNN legal expert Misty Maris agreed, stating it's highly probable that Combs' legal team is advising him that he is better off invoking his right to remain silent. She concluded that it is highly unlikely that he will testify, although she reminded everyone that ultimately, the defendant ultimately has the choice. The consensus among legal minds is clear. Despite the intense pressure and shocking testimony, the risks of Diddy speaking in his own defense likely far outweigh any potential benefits. Remember, Combs has pleaded not guilty to charges that include racketeering conspiracy and sex trafficking. If convicted on all counts, he could face up to life in prison. The stakes couldn't be higher. Mia's testimony returned to the terrifying aftermath of Cassie's discovery in South Africa. As Diddy desperately tried to reach Cassie, Mia became the new target of his alleged rage. The jury was shown a series of messages between Mia and Christina Courtroom, Diddy's chief of staff. These messages revealed how Courtroom, under immense pressure from Combs, repeatedly texted and called Mia during the overnight hours, while Mia and Cassie were asleep, demanding that Mia get Cassie on the phone. Mia eventually answered Courtroom's call on October 26, 2015, after she said she had just spoken to Combs himself. Her description of that conversation with Diddy was chilling. Mia wrote to Courtroom, "He doesn't sound in the right mind at the moment. Any reasoning should be in the AM your time." Mia testified that when she spoke to Combs, he was irate, forgetting what he was talking about, slurring quite a bit, saying irrational things. And what kind of irrational things? Mia confirmed that Combs was threatening my job, threatened to kill me, lots of threats, telling me he was on the phone with HR even though I knew that wasn't true. Imagine the psychological torment of receiving such threats from your employer, someone with immense power over your livelihood and, allegedly, your safety. The threats allegedly escalated further. On October 31, 2015, while Mia was still in South Africa with Cassie, Diddy sent Mia a series of messages that truly laid bare the alleged depths of his manipulative power. If you don't call me now, fuck it all, and Emma tell everything, and don't ever speak me again. You have 2 men fucker. Call my house now or never speak to me again. Fuck ABC and all lawyers. Let's go to war, Combs wrote. The telling everything part was particularly sinister. Mia testified that Combs was threatening to tell Cassie about the sexual assaults, but with a terrifying twist. As though it was my fault, or that I had a part in it. Can you imagine the horror of having your own trauma used against you with the threat of being framed as complicit? The stakes were incredibly high for Mia. She had recently achieved a major milestone. ABC had purchased the rights to a comedy show she had written. This was, in her words, the most exciting thing that's ever happened in my life. And Diddy, Mia testified, was threatening to take that away. In desperation, Mia responded to Combs's messages, begging him to give Cassie more time. "I'm begging you," she wrote. "She just texted you. She said she just needs the time to change. Please just be nice on the phone, please." But Combs continued his barrage of messages, demanding she call him, before finally sending a message stating, "I've come to the conclusion that it's best that we no longer have any dealings." This segment of Mia's testimony illustrates the alleged psychological warfare where career dreams and personal safety were held hostage. The pressure on Mia to stay in Combs' good graces was immense. She testified that she had to beg for permission to do basic things, even attend her own grandmother's funeral. She revealed that after Combs threatened her job if she didn't leave South Africa early, she emailed him several times asking for clear instructions, even though the fees to change her flight were expensive and she had paid for her initial flight with her own money. She wrote to him, "I need to make sure I'm following your instructions correctly," and despite her fear, she also told him that Cassie was upset and didn't want her to leave. Even in this high-stress situation, Mia added that she loved him more than once in the email. Mia's explanation for her behavior was heartbreakingly clear. "I want to stay with Cass, but I don't want to make him mad," she testified. She summarized her approach to survival. "I'm tiptoeing. That's the way I would survive, so I didn't make him more mad or make him think that I thought what he was doing was wrong." This chilling statement encapsulates the alleged dynamic of an abusive relationship. She concluded, It didn't matter what I wanted or what anyone else wanted. It matters what he wants, and he was in charge." This insight into the alleged power dynamic and the cycle of violence is crucial for understanding why victims might stay or behave in ways that seem contradictory to outsiders. Mia also detailed multiple instances where she was suspended from her job without pay, not for incompetence, but for reasons that further highlight the alleged toxic environment. These suspensions included accidentally falling asleep after being awake for days, a testament to the extreme hours she claimed to work, and even for reacting to one of Sean Diddy Combs' violent episodes. She recounted one incident in March 2011. Combs had asked her to lay out clothing options. When he arrived and only saw some in the closet, he allegedly just began cursing me out and getting angrier and going on a rant about the lack of options and how he hated certain things. Mia tried to point out the other options and offer more, but she said that made him even more irate. He was just screaming and cursing at me and wouldn't stop. Mia testified that something violent happened between them, though she couldn't recall specific details. She also detailed the infamous spaghetti incident, where Combs allegedly threw a bowl of spaghetti at her for needing to change a tampon, and another where he threw a computer at her head for a Wi-Fi issue. These incidents paint a picture of relentless verbal and physical intimidation. Following the clothing incident, Mia received an email from Human Resources stating she was suspended without pay for 5 days because Puff Combs had said I was being insubordinate. This further underscores Mia's earlier claim that HR was there to punish, not protect. In this environment, even basic explanations or attempts to comply could be twisted into an accusation of insubordination, leading to severe consequences. Mia's desire to escape the alleged torment was clear. She testified that she tried to run away from her job before she eventually left in 2017, but it never worked. Why? Because she believed that if she left, she would never be able to get a job somewhere else. "He would have made sure of it," Mia stated. "He would destroyed my reputation. I was scared of him." This chilling statement speaks volumes about the alleged power Diddy held over his employees' careers and lives. The fear of professional ruin was allegedly a significant factor in keeping her, and potentially others, silent and trapped. Mia's loyalty and hard work also extended to Revolt Films, part of Combs Enterprises. She was working on a bad boy documentary when she received shocking news in a 2016 meeting with Brian Offit, then the chief operating officer of Combs Enterprises. Out of the blue, he just said, "I hate to tell you this, but I talked to Mr. Combs, and he no longer wants to be involved with film, so he basically wants to end Revolt Films," Mia testified. She was in shock and utterly confused. Just recently, Combs had told her Revolt Films was the only company that had made money that year. Mia felt a profound sense of betrayal and rejection because Combs himself didn't tell her. She continued to work on the documentary into early 2017 before she left. After the documentary was finished, Combs and other employees reached out to her, but she was too heartbroken to answer. Mia explained that leaving Revolt Films felt like the worst thing in the world because she was loving working in film and TV and didn't want to leave the company that I built where I was actually started to see my dreams come to fruition. When defense attorney Brian Steele questioned why she wouldn't be happy to be free of her employment, Mia explained that it was the only life she knew. This highlights the psychological investment and loss felt by employees who had built careers and hopes within Diddy's empire. One of the most bizarre and terrifying incidents Mia recounted took place on a yacht off St. Barth's during New Year's Eve 2010 into 2011. Mia was with Sean Diddy Combs, Kim Porter, and his family. Combs allegedly became enraged because Mia was counting money in his safe too slowly. His alleged words to her were utterly shocking. He told me, "You better learn to walk on water like Jesus, bitch. Get the fuck out of here." Mia hid on the boat until a crew member took her to shore, but the ordeal wasn't over. Yacht crew members radioed saying Combs wanted her back. Despite not wanting to, Mia testified she obeyed Puff's orders. Plans changed again, and under threat of losing her job, Combs allegedly forced her to go with him on a jet to Las Vegas. Mia believed she would be fired if she refused, so she went. This incident showcases the extreme control and humiliation Mia allegedly endured, even in front of Diddy's family and crew. In 2017, Mia finally took a step towards gaining some control. She hired employment attorneys to negotiate a severance and bonuses, leading to months of intense negotiations. Christina Courtroom, Diddy's former chief of staff, told Mia that Combs believed she had stabbed him in the back by hiring lawyers. This reaction from Diddy reveals his alleged expectation of absolute loyalty and control over his employees, even when they sought basic rights. Mia's attorneys initially sought a $10 million settlement. After months of back and forth, they settled for approximately $400,000, with Mia receiving about $200,000. At the time of this settlement, Mia admitted she told some people about the physical violence she endured from Combs, but she did not mention the sexual assaults. She testified that she would have died with that information if it weren't for Combs's current federal criminal case. This powerfully illustrates the profound fear and shame that can prevent victims from coming forward, highlighting the immense courage it took for her to testify now. Mia's only subsequent contact with Sean Diddy Combs after the settlement was after Kim Porter, the mother of 3 of his children, tragically passed away in November 2018. Mia reached out to him occasionally on significant dates, like Porter's birthday or when a close friend passed away. "I felt so terrible for him and his family," she said. showing a complex mix of past connection and human empathy. However, things changed drastically after Cassie Ventura filed her lawsuit against Sean "Diddy" Combs in November 2023. Diddy's longtime security guard, known as D-Rock, texted Mia for the first time in 2 years. He said a lot has been going on and that he would call her. On the call, D-Rock brought up Cassie's lawsuit, then shifted to, yeah, it's real crazy what's going on, 'cause like Puff and Cass, they would just fight like a normal couple. Mia testified that her radar went off immediately. She knew D-Rock had witnessed Combs be violent with Ventura, and it was absolutely not normal. This was a clear attempt, in Mia's view, to downplay the severity of the alleged abuse. Mia testified that D-Rock then told her he had just landed in Miami to join Combs, who wanted to talk to her. Mia's impression was that Combs wanted her to make a public statement on his behalf, likely to counter Cassie's lawsuit. She never answered Combs's calls. Mia recounted a visceral reaction. When Combs called her, she threw her phone as far as it would go and ran outside. It was just so triggering to see that. It was just a reaction, she said. This powerful moment speaks to the lasting trauma she experienced. D-Rock continued to contact Mia periodically in December 2023 and February 2024, repeatedly telling her Combs was trying to reach her. Mia testified she believed Combs tasked D-Rock with making sure that I wasn't a threat. She responded to D-Rock until February 2024, when she sensed he was getting angry, likely because Combs was pushing him. D-Rock wrote, "Can't believe you're not hitting me back." Mia replied that she had been scuba diving, a clear attempt to disengage. When D-Rock then asked for her address to send her something, she declined. His response, "I'm allowed to send my sister a gift." Mia never spoke to him after that, but she believed he was trying to send her money, a potential attempt to buy her silence. The jury was shown messages that Sean "Diddy" Combs himself sent to Mia in February 2024. The first, on February 4th, read, "Hey Mia, it's Puff. Please let me know when you get time to talk. Love." Mia testified she was terrified to receive this message and didn't respond. A second message, sent on February 7th, read, "Hey, I don't want to be blowing up your phone. Just needed to talk to you for 10 minutes. Just need my memory jogged on some things. You were my right hand for years, so I just to speak to you to remember who was even around me, and it would be good to hear your voice, but if you don't want to, all good. Just let me know. Love. Hope you're sick well." Mia did not respond to this message either. Her reason? "I just didn't want anything to do with him at all," she stated. "He was the person I was traumatized by." She believed his apparent kindness in the messages was a front, a manipulative tactic to gain access. These messages, shown to the jury, present a powerful insight into Diddy's alleged attempts to control the narrative, even reaching out directly to a former employee who alleges such profound trauma. As Mia's direct testimony concluded, defense attorney Brian Steele began his cross-examination, immediately launching into a challenging line of questioning. His very first question set the tone. "Because of Sean Combs, you suffer a great deal?" Mia responded simply, "Yes." Steele's strategy was clear: to challenge Mia's credibility by highlighting any perceived inconsistencies, particularly her past positive interactions with Combs. The jury was shown photos Mia had posted on her social media portraying a seemingly positive relationship with Diddy. One image from January 2013 showed her holding Ciroc vodka bottles with a caption tagging, "Combs, what we do when you're not around." Steele pointed out that by this time Mia had already alleged sexual assault and abuse. Another photo from October 2013 showed Combs at a coffee shop with a caption boasting, "Just the #1 guy on the Forbes list getting me a vanilla latte. No big deal, regular people shit." A third photo from Burning Man Festival showed Mia, Combs, Cassie Ventura, and Carey Morgan with the caption, "Take me back." Steele specifically pointed out that Mia was standing beside Combs and leaning into him in the photo, then asked pointedly, "And he terrorized you, right?" Mia's response remained firm. "Yes." Steele continued, showing photos Mia posted for Combs' birthday, including one from June 22, 2014, where she reposted Diddy's Instagram post about her, which read, Beside every great man is a great woman, Combs had added. Sorry I was acting crazy last night. Mia testified that this was Combs' apology for threatening her life on the phone the night before. Despite this, her repost read, "Nicest caption ever. Thanks, Puff. Love you, you've shown me the world." When Steele asked if she reposted this despite the trauma, Mia responded, "Yes, of course." She even testified about Combs changing his birthday at one point, with everyone promoting his new birthday. These posts were a key part of the defense's attempt to argue Mia's current testimony contradicts her past actions. The defense also presented a scrapbook Mia made for Combs' 45th birthday in 2014, filled with magazine articles celebrating his career. Mia confirmed it was "so nice of me," explaining she made it after Combs expressed a feeling of having done everything, implying he was looking for something to make him happy. Steele pushed Mia on why she would make such a gift and post such loving words for someone who allegedly abused her for years. Mia's explanation for these seemingly contradictory actions was perhaps the most insightful part of her cross-examination. She suggested that a therapist or psychology textbook could better explain it, referring to the cycle of violence in abusive relationships. "I was young and manipulated and eager to survive. I'm unraveling a lot of this now in therapy. Nobody was there to say these things that were happening were wrong." Mia's explanation for these seemingly contradictory actions was perhaps the most insightful part of her cross-examination. She suggested that a therapist or psychology textbook could better explain it, referring to the cycle of violence in abusive relationships. "I was young and manipulated and eager to survive. I'm unraveling a lot of this now in therapy. Nobody was there to say these things that were happening were wrong. There was nobody around us that ever even flinched at his behavior," Mia powerfully stated. "I was always in trouble, and I was always just trying to find a way not to be in trouble." This candid admission highlights the profound psychological impact of alleged abuse and the isolation victims can experience. When Steele pressed her on needing someone else to tell her that Combs' threats were wrong, Mia introduced the concept of her logic brain versus her trauma brain, explaining that her trauma brain often wins. She said that in abusive situations, things become normalized, and you're just trying to get back to the good. She added, "You make excuses for people. I'm a people pleaser. I'm an empath. I'm a rule follower. I just wanted to do my best and make everybody happy all the time. So I tend to take a lot more than normal people. I don't know how to explain that. I don't know if I should apologize for that. I forgive people all the time for things." This raw, honest explanation offers a crucial understanding of the complex psychological coping mechanisms that can develop in allegedly abusive environments. Despite the defense's repeated suggestions that she had made up the sexual assault allegations, Mia remained resolute. When Steele directly asked, "Mr. Combs never had unwanted, non-consensual, forcible sexual contact with you, isn't that true?" Mia's answer was unwavering. "What I said in this courtroom is true. I have not lied to anyone at all." This firm denial in the face of aggressive questioning underscores her determination to tell her truth. The long-term consequences of her alleged experiences with Combs are devastating. Mia testified that she hasn't been able to work because she suffers from severe PTSD. She described trying to work but being triggered by really normal situations with like an overwhelming sense of fear of being in trouble. As an example, she shared that a simple question like, "Where are you?" would immediately trigger her, flooding her with fear of having to explain herself or being in trouble. When asked directly who caused these feelings, Mia's answer was clear and concise. Puff. This heartbreaking revelation brings home the lasting, debilitating impact of the alleged abuse she endured. Throughout her testimony, Mia's demeanor remained guarded. Her head was often bowed, her long bangs shielding her eyes from view, making the part in her hair the most visible feature of her face. This posture speaks volumes about the emotional weight of her testimony and the vulnerability she felt. Meanwhile, Sean "Diddy" Combs, seated in the second row with his sons and sister, blew a kiss to his mother. A stark contrast to the harrowing details being recounted just feet away, During a short break, a procedural battle erupted. The defense argued to show a video Mia recorded for Combs wishing him happy birthday in 2013, claiming it would show Mia's upbeat demeanor and prove her current courtroom demeanor was an act. However, Judge Aaron Subramanian ultimately precluded the video, citing its minimal relevance and the defense's failure to provide it to the government sooner. This highlights the defense's ongoing efforts to discredit Mia's emotional testimony and the judge's role in ensuring fair play. Mia's testimony is a powerful, deeply personal account that sits at the very heart of the Diddy trial. Her words paint a vivid picture of alleged control, manipulation, and the immense psychological toll of a toxic work environment. It forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about power dynamics in Hollywood and the brave steps it takes to break a silence that's been years in the making. What are your thoughts on Mia's raw and emotional testimony? The complexities of her situation, her trauma brain versus logic brain, and her reasons for remaining silent for so long are incredibly compelling. Share your reactions and questions in the comments below. Your engagement is what makes the C-Trends community so vital for understanding these critical stories. And if you want to stay on top of every single detail, every legal maneuver, and every shocking revelation in this ongoing trial, you absolutely must subscribe to C-Trends right now. Hit that notification bell so you're alerted the moment our next in-depth video drops. We are committed to bringing you the truth, clearly and directly, without the hype. To fully grasp the immense scope of this trial and Mia's place within it, we have several essential videos for you to watch next. First, delve into the context with Diddy Trial Day 12, the terrifying secrets his assistant, Mia, couldn't say no to. Then, understand the perspective of another key witness by watching Diddy Trial Day 12, why her stylist always feared for Cassie's safety, and for a broader view of the accusations that kickstarted this all, check out Diddy Trial Playlist on the channel homepage. You can find all these crucial videos and our complete trial coverage by clicking the links on your screen now or by visiting our channel page. Thank you for making C-Trends your trusted source for celebrity news that truly matters. We'll be back with another essential update as this historic trial continues to unfold.